Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in crypto. If you like money in crypto, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want to go deeper in crypto, want to understand blockchain a little bit better, make sure to sign up at bitlabacademy.com. All right, guys, want to make this video because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the hottest thing in crypto, which is the metaverse. We can talk about how boring Bitcoin is, what's going on with that El Salvador bought some Bitcoin, blah, 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 blah. But that's not exciting right now. Let's talk about what is exciting, which is metaverse. And I think a lot of you guys are looking at this totally wrong, because here is what I see a lot of. I see a lot of people saying, what coins should I invest in? Which ones? What are your top 5 metaverse coins? Which, if you watch my video with Chris from Crypto, I gave you those. Decentraland, Sandbox, because I always give you what you want. Decentraland, Sandbox, Seek VR, Blocktopia, and Meta Hero. Those are my top 5 right now. Now that's Seek with a C, C-E-E-K. We've been talking about that on the channel forever. I mean, we've been talking about Seek VR for 2 years at this point as one to watch, and it is finally absolutely blown up. But it should, because we are heading to a place where VR is, much more important. I'm sitting in a parking lot now, waiting to go. I came to get an energy drink and, a Savage Slim Jim. Look at that thing. Oh yeah. I'm going to pick up my family. We're going to head to church this morning, heading to Miami a little bit later, this afternoon for Decentral conference. But here's the thing. Everybody wants to know what the latest, hottest coin is. But I really want to break this down for you guys. You really have to understand this about Metaverse. Investing in Metaverse right now is like investing in Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, let's say. Okay, and I had that opportunity. I did. Made some money, but, I didn't take it as seriously as I should, and I really regret that. Investing in Metaverse today is like investing in DeFi in mid to late 2019, okay? Investing in Metaverse now is similar to investing in NFTs in March of 2020, okay? What do all of these 3 things have in common? You had an opportunity to get in an appreciating asset, a highly appreciating asset, before 99% of other people did. Before the vast majority of people, even in crypto, did. Of course, in Bitcoin 2012, there really was another crypto, but that's another story. I guess you had Litecoin. The point is, you're extremely early, okay? And I really want you to think about investment strategies when it comes to DeFi and NFT specifically, because obviously with the Bitcoin example, there was just Bitcoin to invest in. But if you had invested in a basket of DeFi assets, okay, in late 2019, I think specifically about September 2019, this was really when DeFi began getting noticed by some people in crypto. I did an interview with the CEO of Teller, I think it was the CEO of Teller, and they were talking about their DeFi, decentralized oracles, how it competes with Chainlink. Imagine if you had invested in Teller and Aave and Maker and Compound. Compound didn't launch, I think, until the summer of that year. But for instance, imagine you had invested in all of those, Chainlink, all of those early DeFi projects, okay? Imagine if you had invested in all of as many of those projects as you could. How would you be doing right now? You would be crushing it. Aave was the #1 return of 2020, okay? Imagine investing in NFTs. Imagine investing in Dapper Labs, Axie Infinity, which we told you about in 2020. Dapper Labs, of course, is Flow. Chili's, Ecomi, Eternity. Eternity hadn't launched yet, but you guys get the point here, okay? If you had invested early on a lot of these NFT projects, or if you had invested in many of the NFTs themselves, which kind of will roll us over to our next point, you would understand that the key is to be in as many as possible. to be in as many as possible. Because if you had been in Seek VR, if you had been in Axie Infinity, okay, if you had been in Aave, those returns are astronomical. $100 would have returned you over $10,000 for a lot of those projects, okay, maybe even much higher. And most of you aren't investing just $100. I understand that, okay? But if you invest in these projects early across the board, you are going to crush it. You're going to hit so many winners. It's unbelievable. So when you look at those top 5 projects that I gave you on, Chris's video with Crypto, then you're going to be doing well. But there's plenty of other ones out there. There's plenty of other opportunities out there. So number 1, invest in these coins. Of course, I can't give you financial advice because I'm just a mere mortal, not a financial advisor, not a lord of finance, okay? But number 1, invest in these coins, as many as you can. And be careful about rug pulls, obviously. Make sure that the projects you're investing in have docs teams, which means you know who the teams are. Don't just, as soon as you hear about some Metaverse project, go throw a bunch of money into it. Do some research. Make sure it's legit. Make sure it's got good people behind it. Make sure people are not, speculating it's a rug pull. Make sure it didn't just, they came up with the idea yesterday and launched it today. Do that research. Make sure these are legit projects, okay? But number 1, invest in projects. Number 2, buy as much land as you can across the board. Anytime you can get Metaverse land, buy it. There's only going to be so much of this. And I know it feels like there's so many projects launching, like it's going to get oversaturated quick. It's not, okay? This is the future of the world. Metaverse is the way that everyone is going to game in the next 10 to 20 years. Gaming is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's insane how much money goes into gaming, and that's going to 10x over the next 10 to 20 years. Is going to be so crazy, the amount of money that goes into those. So investing early, that's like saying, oh, well, don't you think DeFi will get oversaturated? Yeah, eventually it will. Yeah, eventually, but not in the early stages. It's like saying projects will get oversaturated. Yeah, eventually they did, but in 2020 they weren't, okay? So right now, with these core components of what will be the Metaverse, you got to look at these projects and understand this is the biggest opportunity that is available to you. And I wish I was preaching DeFi and NFTs when they first started getting popular, and I wasn't, because I didn't see how all this was going to unfold. I see it now. I understand it. I see it. I see where it's going. So don't miss this opportunity to invest in the early days of what is going to eventually become the way that people video game, which over 3/4 of the world are gamers, according to a lot of statistics, or at least in the next few years they will be. So don't miss it. Have a blanket strategy, invest in a basket of Metaverse projects, and buy up as much land as you can. That's the tip. That's all I got. Be blessed. Good boy out.